In this kitchen dresser, a pine piece, 1750, that I'm building currently, there is a frame, a beaded frame, inside the upper portion of this piece. And I would like to show how I go about making that beaded frame that consists of several different components, the stiles and the two rails. The easiest way for me to start on this is to remove this, hide this back panel, and capture the size using the rectangle tool. I'm just going corner to corner here, and I'm going to make that a group, and then edit the group and also capture the inside rectangular portion of this frame, which gives me the outline of all the components and the proper sizing. I can now copy that group out of the kitchen dresser and work on it separately, but first let me unhide the back panel on the completed assembly. Move this a little bit to the right down the axis on the red axis, and I can explode this now. I don't need the group, and delete the inside face. The frame is 3/4 inch thick, so pull that to 3/4. And now to work on this bead that surrounds the internal edges of this rectangle. And just like Dave Richards showed in his last post on this Design Click Build site, he titled it Routing Edge Profiles. I'm doing a similar procedure here and creating a cutter that will make that bead across several components, but they're not components yet. We'll do that later in the process. So now I'm making the cutter for the bead, and I can draw the 1/4 inch arc here so that it's a thumbnail style bead, and I don't need this back portion here, and I don't need that part of it. So here's the cutter, and I want to extend the size of this cutter. That'll make it easier to clean up, and I'll increase the size by 1/8 of an inch on this part, and also pull this out 1/8 of an inch so the cutter protrudes out through the front surface of that frame. Now to run a follow me, but first this is a small bead, and I'm sure this will result in very small facets that SketchUp won't handle that small. So I'm scaling up by a factor of 10. And now I need a path for the follow me. However, it just occurred to me that I can cut this in half and work with just half of the frame and maybe save a little bit of extra cleanup work. So I'll just slice this at the midpoint and just do the follow me on half of the component, and then reconstruct the full pieces later. And I can delete these inside faces here. So since this was symmetrical, I just cut it in half, and I see that I've also removed some edges here and faces, so I'll put them back. And the back side looks okay. I think we're ready then to identify the path, but I need another piece of the path. I'll draw that line and again delete that panel and select the perimeter of the bead, the cutting action. Click on the follow me and then click on the cutter. Seem to go around okay. And now the process of, well, I need to do the intersect. So I'll select everything and intersect faces with selection. Now is the cleanup. A lot of edges and faces that need to be removed here. I'll just start at this corner and click away with the eraser. And that face came back, remove it. Go to this corner and I don't need any of this stuff over here. I'm going to do a right to left select and delete all of that. A little bit more to clean up. Just a little piece here I'm trying to erase. There it goes. And got one more corner to clean up. These thumbnail beads were very typical in 18th century furniture for frames and for windows and doors. So in the furniture I build, this is a common element of design. I should be able to reverse the faces here because I've got the wrong, there we are. So this framework at this point is not a component, and it's not a group, and it's not a style, and it doesn't have the rails. So the rest of the procedure here is to make the components. With the line tool, I'm going to bring a vertical line down to separate the style from that lower rail. Just change to X-ray so I can continue the line work here. And then there's a little miter joint right there on the back side. And I can do that same procedure up here to separate the vertical style from the upper rail. In X-ray, that helps me in that 45 degree there. It looks good from the back. So I should be able to create that style component and the rail components. But first, let's knock this down to its full size, which is 1/10 of this, 0.1. And because of the scaling up and doing the intersection at the larger size, we didn't have any missing facets. So I will make the style component, select all of this and make it a component. I'll call it frame style. So now I have a style component. Make an upper rail component. Frame upper rail. And a lower rail. I'm still only half of the frame. And I don't have any joinery. So it would be a good time now to create the joinery. I see that I've got a missing edge and a missing face. Bring that over there. Oops, need to edit the component. There we are. And I see this little piece here that I can delete. There's a mortise and tenon joint in each of these four corners. Just inspecting here, I see another little edge that can go away, and I can smooth out that edge on the bead and smooth out the edge here. Use the eraser with a control key. And I'll have that okay. I think I'm ready to make a tenon after I close up this face with a line here. Draw some guides 1/2 inch down from the top. This is 3/4 inch thick material, so the tenon will be 1/4 inch thick. Draw in the rectangle for the tenon and push-pull. Bring that out 1.25 inches. I can copy this whole half, selecting it all and making a copy, flipping it along the red direction, reconnecting at the midpoint, and clean up, get rid of these edges. And I need to smooth out these edges here around that bead. Holding down the control key with the eraser. So now the upper rail is full length. I can bring the style in and connect it. And create the mortise in the style. Create a face, a rectangular face, right at that point on the style, using the tenon to make the mortise. Oh, I did not edit the component. Let me do that again. There we go. There's the mortise. And a similar action needs to be done down in the lower rail to finish up this beaded frame.